We have some breaking news from Anthropic, one of our favorite AI companies. You've heard us talk about them 100 times, and that is they have raised more money. I know this seems like these companies never stop raising money, and that is in part by just because of how expensive these companies are to run. We recently saw, OpenAI say that they could scale to artificial super intelligence. The only thing they need is money and compute. And
Hmm.
so think we're seeing something very similar from Anthropic, who is right on their heels and sometimes in the lead if you depend or if you depend on who you ask about the AI model. But here's the crazy thing: Anthropic has recently reportedly looking to raise about $2 billion at a $60 billion valuation. This is going to be led by Lightspeed, a top tier venture capital firm. This is phenomenal. But Connor, I just wanted to get your take. Like, what are your thoughts when you hear Anthropic's dipping in for another $2 billion, fresh off of a massive round they just raised from Amazon?
We're still early in the year here, and when I was thinking about the sort of my personal sort of company of the year of last year, it was Anthropic. I just can't believe how powerful they are, guys. I know a lot of folks out there. You sort of hear about Anthropic, which has its chatbot Claude, which you probably heard about, and I'm sure a bunch of you are using it. If you have not, I really urge you to use Claude. I am the last guy to say, "Oh, you need more AI tools." It's sort of the opposite of what I do when I'm working with companies. I'm like, "Don't worry about AI tools; just worry about changing your behavior." That's what I do with enterprises. So I don't like to tell people about other tools, but I cannot avoid telling them about Claude because Claude is so outstanding. You can make a strong case that in a lot of ways it's way more powerful than ChatGPT in writing. And a lot of what we do is writing, also coding and things like that. But I'm not a coder. But the interesting thing to me is, yeah, just Jaden, just the sheer rapid pace of this. It seems startling. So when I think about where Anthropic was a year ago, I remember thinking like, well, how are they going to bring in whatever they were predicting they were going to bring in? It was like 800, million and whatever. I don't remember, but it was something where I was like, there's no way. Why would anybody use this instead of ChatGPT? And now I see. I mean, Amazon themselves have probably dumped about $8 billion into Anthropic. Listen, these are companies, just to give you a sense of these scales, this is a company that was worth about $16 billion. It's up from about $16 billion, like less, like just months ago. I mean, these things
Yeah.
are growing by the billions and billions and billions. I mean, you think about sort of like October and OpenAI, and they raised 6.6 billion, I think, and now they're at $157 billion valuation. The stunning thing to me is not that these companies are valuable and everything else, but just the sheer jumps that it's doing this. I mean, this makes Anthropic like one of the biggest companies in the world. I think it's like top 5 startup now or something like that, or in tech or something. Point being that there's an easy way to sort of like look at this and say like, oh, AI is overhyped or whatever, but you don't have this kind of investment coming in this kind of valuation unless these companies really see that this is going to be super impactful, and especially when they've partnered with an organization like Amazon, where Amazon has AWS. Think about it in terms of cloud providers, and if Amazon can provide their clients with this phenomenal AI model like Anthropic with the cloud, that makes money for Amazon. It makes money for Anthropic, and it's going to make money for the client. That's why I think you see such huge valuations. But what about Jane? Jane, when you see this, you're thinking, well, I know you love Anthropic. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I love them. I think this is an awesome company. It's great competition. But it's not my daily driver. My daily driver still is ChatGPT, sometimes Perplexity. My question to you, I know you use Perplexity a lot. Do they have
Yeah.
access to the internet? Because I was just trying
Claude
to ask.
does not. It's a great point. It's a great point. So Anthropic's Claude does not have access to the internet. It's a huge it's I don't want to say it's a deal breaker, but like I mean, until recently OpenAI didn't really have it either. So with Perplexity, you can the way the Perplexity works, if you haven't used it before, you can choose in the settings which model you're using for the output, right? So like I always use Claude because it's the best writer, but Claude itself, Jaden, to your point, does not have this. I see. By the way, if you're not following us on YouTube, guys, Jaden does constant throughout this whole thing, constant demos. Jaden, talk to us about what you're doing right now.
Yeah, so I mean, here's the thing. I love Claude. I love everything they're doing. I'm going to talk more about this deal because I think that it's important. But the thing I want to bring up is like I asked it about the weather, and in like San Antonio, Texas, and it's response is, I apologize, but I don't have access to the current weather data, blah, blah, blah. That's so lame. This is not hard to get API access to this kind of stuff.
Right.
If you go and ask Perplexity, they got a really cool graph where they chart it out for you. I know Google does some cool stuff. If you ask ChatGPT, now I might just be on the wrong model because I asked O1, and I think if you ask O40 or
Yeah, I
something,
think
it's going to give
L1 is
you,
not internet. Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't have internet, but it still, I don't know, it still doesn't say I apologize. Oh no, it does. It says the same thing.
Wait,
So
did you want it? Were you upset that it didn't apologize to you?
yeah, oh, I hated apologizing. It's so annoying. Okay, well, I switched it to GPT-4o and boom, yeah, I got the weather and it's got these fancy little graphics. I know it sounds
Yeah.
like small stuff, but I am all about UI, and the nicer this looks, the better. So I'm a big fan of what ChatGPT is doing. I'm a big fan of what Perplexity is doing. Not a big fan about the way that it doesn't access this. And I know this seems like a small thing, like who's going to ask ChatGPT the weather. It just is symbolic of so many things I ask it for. I recently had some really in-depth conversations with ChatGPT because I was looking at these cinema line cameras and needing to know what type of, like, I don't know if you knew this, Connor, but like you have to use a different SD card for cinema line cameras because they write so fast. Anyways, blah blah blah.
Oh wow.
I was literally taking pictures with my phone of, would this SD card work? What about with this camera? And I'm just taking pictures, and like this whole thing is going and searching the internet and pulling up stuff for me and giving me links. You need the internet. You need so many of these features. So I love Anthropic. I love OpenAI or Claude for its tone and style and its output, but it really needs to, I think, get some of these integrations if they want to be able to compete. Okay,
Jaden, do you
let's get
think
back
is
to
it
the
just
deal. I'll
well, I
stop
mean, let me just
roasting
ask
them.
you this. For you, is it a cost thing? Because what OpenAI and Google are doing, right, is like clearly trying to make those one-stop shops. So OpenAI, now that it has internet access, it's being like, hey, you don't have to go over to Perplexity, and yet Perplexity still grows and grows and grows. You don't have to go over to, Gemini. You don't have to do any of this stuff. Like we have voice, we have vision, we have everything here, ChatGPT. Whereas before, you sort of had to jump over to Perplexity for something which is essentially a Google search engine replacement. Gemini, you kind of have to bounce around a little bit because Gemini sometimes doesn't answer your questions, especially if you're asking anything with politics. Gemini's like, no, I'm not going to answer you, which it gets really frustrating. Claude, for me, because I do a lot of writing, if I was like just a marketing agency and I had to describe to one of these tools, I would make it Claude. And the
Yeah.
reason is that just as a writer, it's that much better. But Jaden, Claude is so close to being able to have people just live in there and not have to leave. What's the whole, like, Jaden, you with AI Box and your phenomenal company and all that kind of stuff, like what is your opinion on why they haven't done this yet?
Well, it's definitely not resources. They've raised unlimited money. We just read, I think back in November. This is not long ago. November, they raised $4 billion from Amazon AWS.
Another 4 billion, another
Yeah,
4
another
billion.
4 billion, and now they're raising another 2 billion from Lightspeed. So if this is not money, um, maybe it's not their strategic focus.
Could it be a
It's not even,
safety thing?
maybe it's a safety thing. It's not like a cost, but at the same time, like safety, I guess it's, I don't know, it's the internet. Like all you need to do pretty much is you go and you can buy it, or you could pay Google for their API access to Google search results, and you could
Yeah.
immediately embed it in there. So yeah, I really fail to see why they haven't done it. There's definitely like some difficulties with it. Like it's a technical challenge, but they have amazing talented team and so much money and resources. It blows my mind. Like get this, after this latest round of funding,
Hmm.
$60 billion, they've now raised almost $16 billion, and this makes them the fifth most valuable US startup, like privately held, after SpaceX, OpenAI, Stripe, and Databricks. They are
Jeez.
one of the most
Huge.
valuable companies. They have great technology. It just kills me that they don't have some of these things, because even a company like XAI that just raised $6 billion in November, one of their big competitors, right, on the up and on the come up, trying to like dethrone them or whatever. Like if you go and use XAI's Grok and ask it any question, it's giving you live. That's
Right.
its whole
Right.
value proposition. It's giving you live, up to the date information from X and from the internet, and people like that. This is like why they use it. So I love the tone, I love the style, I love the output from Anthropic, but I really think they need to they got to add some of these other competitive features to stay at the top for sure.
It also reminds me that Amazon is now building or has built its own foundation model as well. and foundation
Yeah,
model just, like OpenAI has, Anthropic has, Meta has, X, Google, Google, etc. So what that means is that right now, Amazon has been pouring money into Anthropic. By the way, it makes money for both of them because then Anthropic is using the cloud and all that kind of stuff. But it's not going to be like Amazon can be their cash cow forever. I mean, everybody wants to own their own LLM because it's so expensive to use somebody else's. And so, with Claude, they're at some point going to have to make this jump over to having sort of like the internet and having, I mean, again, I think more and more companies are going to be using Claude just because if you are a writer, folks, if you are looking to if you've used GPTs in ChatGPT where you can upload some of your writing and then make it like your own little personal ChatGPT, you can do that in Claude as well with Claude projects. I use these things all the time. I upload massive amounts of writing, and then I just have conversations with it just because it'll respond to me. Even if I'm not trying to create something, it'll just respond to me in a way that resonates with me better. And that is just so powerful. So just if you're writers out there, if you have to do writing for your work, please, I beg you, give Claude a try.
it's good. Yeah, it's 100%. It's great for that. So I'll stop roasting them. They're doing a lot of really impressive things. I do love the company. I'm excited about this new round. They're doing some cool, innovative stuff. And I'll tell you right now, you talk about writers, developers love Claude. They swear by it.
Yes. Yeah.
All my developers working
Coders.
on AI Box, they will use nothing else other than Claude, and they get really
Wow.
bummed when it rate limits them and tells them they ran out of high quality queries. They got to go over to ChatGPT. So it is a great tool. It has some really cool like code panels and other cool stuff that they've integrated. I think they need to add the internet if they want to get the average user excited about it.
Yep.
But for writers, for developers, it's bar none the best. So excited to see what they're going to do with this new round of funding. Listen, if you guys learned anything new from the podcast today, the number one thing that Connor and I would love, aside from you checking out the link in the description to Connor's AI course, which is phenomenal, will change your life and amazing. Besides that, it is to write us a review. We read them all. We love them. They really help the podcast grow and get shown to new people. So if you wouldn't mind leaving us a review today, turn over a new leaf for New Year's. Leave that review as a way to say thank you. We really appreciate it. Hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day.